What is the case all about? The court proceedings concern Maria Ressa, executive editor of the news source Rappler, and writer Reynaldo Santos Jr. They were changed the cyber libel over a 2012 Rappler, placed the linked billionaire Wilfredo Kent to criminal operation including as human trafficking and drug smuggling, as well as to then Supreme Court Chief Justice Renato Corona, Section 4 of the 2012 Cybercrime Prevention Act, which criminalized cyber libel, served as the foundation for the legal action. Key aspects of the case include the following. Number one, publica- publication of an article. On May 29, 2012, Rappler released an article revealing Keng's alleged involvement in controversial actions, with a minor revision on February 19, 2014. Cybercrime Prevention Act. The Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 was passed into law in September 2012 and went into force on October 3, 2012. It includes provisions addressing cyber libel. Legal dispute. In January 2017, Keong filed a cyber libel complaint against Ressa Santos and others. The complaint was first dismissed by the National Bureau of Investigation due to the one-year statute of limitations for claiming libel. However, the Department of Justice advised initiating cyber libel charge in January 2019, noting the Article 2014 republication and the absences of a clear time restriction for cyber libel in the Cybercrime Prevention Act. Court verdict. Ressa and Santos were found guilty of cyber libel by the Manila Regional Trial Court. The court argued that the 2014 modification constituted republication, so extending the period of filing charges, it decided that the article was defamatory, was published via computer system, and shows malice. The court also decided the cyber libel has a 12-year statute of limitation under the Cybercrime Prevention Act and was a more serious criminal than conventional libel. Freedom of expression. The court recognized the importance of the right to free expression, but emphasized the responsibility of journalists to check facts and publish appropriate correction as soon as possible. Wilfredo Keng was sentenced to prison and ordered to make restitution under the Cybercrime Prevention Act. Rappler was not held accountable in this lawsuit as a corporation. This case demonstrates the complexity of free speech, free freedom, the impact of internet media, and the legal complexities of libel laws, particularly in the context of the Philippine Cybercrime Prevention Act. Number two, what are the facts of the case? In 2012, Rappler, an online news platform, published an article titled CJ Using SUVs of Controversial Businessmen, authorized by journalist Reynaldo Santos Jr. This article accused businessman Wilfredo Keng of being involved in various illegal activities and controversies including human trafficking, drug smuggling, a murder case, fake cigarette smuggling, and illegal immigration practices. The Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 was signed into law on September 12, 2012, and it includes the criminalization of cyber libel. However, the Supreme Court issued a temporary restraining order, delaying its enforcement, which was lifted on February 18, 2014. On February 9, 2014, Rappler made a correction to the article, fixing a typographical error changing evasion to evasion. The corrected article remained accessible on the Rappler website. In 2017, Wilfredo Keng filed a complaint against Rappler. A Maria, Maria Ressa Reynaldo Santos Jr. and others accusing them of cyber libel. He claimed that article had harmed his reputation and business. Initially, the National Bureau of Investigation was inclined to the complaint, citing a theory of continuous publication as the basis for the charge. However, the complaint was dismissed in 2018 due to the one-year statute of limitations for filing label. In 2019, the Department of Justice recommended the filing of cyber libel charge against Rappler, Maria Ressa, and Reynaldo Santos Jr. The DOH argued that the correction made the article in 2014 constitute republication, making it punishable under the CPA. Maria Ressa was arrested on February 13, 2019, and later released on bail. The trial against Ressa and Santos Jr. commenced on July 23, 2019. The case was heard by the Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 46. The key elements were considered by the court included the article damaging allegations against Wilfredo Keng, implicating him in various criminal activities. The argument that article was republished in 2014 due to the tropical correction, constituting a new publication of the defamatory content. The article identification of Wilfredo Keng by name and his associated business. The determination of both malice in law and malice in fact. The publication of the libelous content through a computer system meeting the CPA criteria. The court decision that the offense had not passed the statute of limitation and was chargeable under CPA. Okay. What are the issues on the case? Number one, cyber libel allegation. The central issues in the cyber allegation leveled against Maria Ressa and Reynaldo Santos Jr. This charge stems from a May 2012 Rappler story. The implicated businessman Wilfredo Keng in a variety of criminal acts. The item was effectively republished in February 2014, according to the court, when a typographical error was fixed, making it subject to the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Number two, statute of limitation. Another issue of disagreement in the cyber libel statute of limitation. The defendant's contents to the charge should have been dismissed because the article was published in 2012 before the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. Number three, libel components. The court analyzed and ruled on the components of libel as outlined by Philippine law. This assessment includes establishing if published article match the standards for determination whether the accusation was published. Next, freedom of speech versus accountability. The case also explored the delicate balance between the right to freedom to speech and journalistic accountability. The court acknowledged the importance of freedom of speech and free press, but underscored the duty of journalists to verify facts, report accurately, and promptly issue correction of clarification when necessary. Next one, impact of online media. The court recognized the significant influence and impact of online media. It considered cyber libel to be more serious offense than traditional libel given the extensive and influence of the internet and online news organization. Next one, presumed corporate liability. The case also touched upon the issue of corporate liability initially. Rappler faced charge, but it was ultimately found not to have corporate liability under Section 9 of the Cybercrime Prevention Act. Together, these matters shaped the court's decision regarding the guilt of Maria Ressa and Reynaldo Santos Jr. For cyber libel, resulting in their conviction and the imposition of fines and damage in favor of Wilfredo Keng. This case highlights the complex interplay between freedom of speech, journalistic responsibility, and the legal implication in the digital age. Next question, number 4. What is the ruling of the Supreme Court? The answer, the Manila Regional Trial Court handed down a verdict in the case of involving Maria Teresa, the executive editor of Rappler and journalist Reynaldo Santos Jr. They were declared guilty of cyber libel in relation to a 2012 article. The ruling primarily revolved around the interpretation of the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 and its relevance to the aforementioned article, which was accused of defaming businessman Wilfredo Ocampo. As a result, they were sentenced to a maximum of 6 years in prison and were also fined. Next question, number 5. What is your takeaways from this case? For me, complexity of cyber libel laws. This case illustrates the intricate nature of cyber libel law and their interpretation. The difficulty lies in applying the law retroactively to an article published before the enactment of cybercrime legislation. This redefines what constitutes republishing and expands the law application. Interpretation of publication in the digital era. The case raised questions about the concept of publication in the digital. Legal uncertainty and accountability. This case highlights the importance of better regulation to reduce legal uncertainty, particularly in matters involving free expression and libel in digital domain. It calls into question the accountability of online platforms and journalists when sharing information, emphasizing the importance of striking a balance between free expression and responsible reporting. Prescripted periods and legal precedents by citing older statutes and legal concepts. The application of prospective periods for cyber libel in this ruling establishes a precedent for future cases and potentially broadens the time frame for pursuing charge in comparable instance. Corporate accountability. The difference made under the Cybercrime Prevention Act regarding corporate accountability for online platforms, such as Rappler, suggests a separation of obligation between individuals and the media outlet itself. This represents a more nuanced concept of digital accountability. This case highlights the developing nature of media law, the issue faced by internet journalism, and the intersection of free expression and journalistic and media organization obligation. It emphasized the importance of legal legislative clarity and ethical reporting standards, particularly in the digital arena where information distribution is rapid and extensive.